What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Comic Breakdown. In this video, we're going back into Imperial War with Imperial Guardians one-shot. And this comic's really interesting because it's starting to really give us an idea of how all this came to be, how it all unfolded. We already got, kind of the cliff notes, the big points that really help us understand the plot and how the Inhumans did all of this. But what about the Skrulls? How were they duped into going about this, into following along with all of this? And to understand that, we have to understand the Skrulls. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Varanki is kind of like the Queen Skrull, prophetic in sense, almost like a messiah to her people. But she was never a god, she was just a priestess. Kind of the architect behind everything that happened with Secret Wars. With her rise to power, the Skrulls fought back. And with her demise, Skrulls have found themselves kind of aligning with everybody else. But all of that is about to change. This is what picks us up with Gamora and Darkhawk, aka Christopher Powell. And they're really bringing out a deep cut. We're bringing in Darkhawk. Like, when I opened up this comic, the last thing that I expected was freaking Darkhawk, the Powell, Falconeer, Edgeman. Now, for those that don't know, Darkhawk's body is known as like the Raptor. It's like a techno-organic construct that possesses enhanced physical abilities, does all kinds of awesome alien-type stuff. This all reverts back to the Tree of Shadows in null space. The origins of his armor is really kind of unknown to him. Now, him and Gamora, they're currently investigating rumors. They've been getting whispers about the return of a prophet. And with everything going on in the galaxy, if this prophet is returned, it could turn everything upside down. While they sit here in battle, we have the arrival of Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers comes flying in, helps him out a bit, and then they catch up. Now, Gamora's not really with the Guardians of the Galaxy anymore. They're not really a group as it stands. But Gamora and Darkhawk, they met up a couple weeks back. They've been investigating this potential threat, and Carol Danvers is here for the same reason. This is what brings them to this temple, to this place of worship for the Skrulls. They're hoping that coming here they might be able to find something. It was all rumors at first in the Outworlds. They were dismissed at first, but the stories kept happening. Stories of a prophet, of a goddess returned. And they all know the proverb, when the Skrulls shift, trouble follows. But Captain Marvel knows that Varanki is dead. Captain Marvel watched her die, but even the idea that she may be reborn puts us in very fragile times. They're on the verge of a galactic union. If the Kree-Skrull alliance were to fail, this would end all of those peace talks, all of the alliances, all of the unions coming together under the galaxy. All of this has made it to where they want to investigate. They want to figure out what is happening here. Now, Captain Marvel does question why Gamora's involved in all of this. Gamora's just trying to really be the opposite of her father, trying to be the opposite of Thanos. But when it comes to Christopher Powell, he goes on to say that he's not a hero, that he's bonded to a remote sentient. This is all through his armor, but he says it's hard to explain. No one really understands it. He doesn't even really understand it. He receives information, predictive data, and this sentience has been telling him for years. He just hasn't been listening properly. Now he says he is. The Raptor suit being an instrument built by ancient intellect. It has some kind of purpose, a deep purpose, a long game. And everything the suit has ever told him about its origins has been a lie. Gamora does kind of back him up here though. Says that his data is credible. And while Chris doesn't necessarily say he believes all of these visions that he sees, he also says that they've never been wrong. Over the next couple of months, the three, they kind of work together. They try to figure out the location of where this prophet might be. This leads them to a location that has metamercs. Now, these aren't your average run-of-the-mill mercenaries. You hire these guys when you need somebody really protected. So much so that these mercenaries, they're illegal to hire. Their kind is outlawed in the Alliance territories. This leads them to believe that the prophet must have been here. It had to have been recently, because you don't hire this kind of guards, this kind of muscle, unless you're really trying to protect somebody. Given two possible locations, this is where they split up. Captain Captain Marvel hearing about Throne World and the possibility that a prophet could end up there, it could mess up everything. So Captain Marvel's like, I'm headed there. You guys go to the other location. Let me know what you find. If you find something, holler at me. I'll bring the muscle, I'll bring the Avengers, and we'll take care of this once and for all. This is what takes us to our prophet. The reborn queen makes her arrival to our Super Skrull. We have Klort, Defender of the Faith. And even he, looking upon her, he's hesitant to believe that it's her. But she tells him that the Kree are our enemy, yet we are treating them like brothers for the sake of peace and living in an alliance. We now accept their oppression, and in a few short months, the Galactic Union is going to render a galactic hierarchy. It's going to be concrete and absolutes. So the state of where we're at is going to remain permanent, but we still have time to act, to change our destiny. And our Super Skrull, he knows that there would be no coming back from this. The price of blood would be high, though if our queen asked us, there would be no price we wouldn't pay. Our Super Skrull knows the cost of this. He knows that if we do this, we either have to go all in and be successful, or our kind will be shunned forever. As he goes to think on this, our queen goes to her bedchambers. And in her bedchambers, she is met by the knife of Gamora. The queen is actually a Shamloid. She are Super Guardian, Hobgoblin class. Undetectable to Skrulls as Skrulls are to everybody else. All deception, all lies. The queen isn't actually alive. The prophet hasn't risen from the grave. It was all deception. And they have to wonder, what would the Super Skrulls do if they found out that you were a lie? But they don't have to think. This is where they barge in, and Klort grabs hold of this dude and chokes him out, burns him right down to a crisp. This pretender never stood a chance. But our Super Skrull goes on to say, no one must know of this. You see, the Super Skrull decided that it's true. If this union of the galaxy is to go through, their place is going to be permanent, which means they can't rise any higher than where they are. This is something that he decided can't stand. That she was a lie, but her truth, it was not. And so through our Super Skrull, the prophet will live on. Being able to drop a bomb on the Skrull, they're able to get away, but they know that they're not far behind. They try to make their escape getting to their ship, but this is where they run into Maximus the Mad. And Maximus is saying that no one must know. Telling him, I'm gonna plead you my case. I hope that you can hear me out, that I admire your efforts. You've puzzled out my plan long before anybody was supposed to. That means that you're incredibly capable. I could have use for you, but I can't have you ruining my plans. That you gotta trust me, the Union, it will prevail, but you can't ruin my plans before they actually get to unfold. Now, Gamora knows that this is Maximus the Mad. Nothing he ever says can actually be trusted. With that being said, Maximus brought in some heavy guns. Because if you're not going to be reasoned with, if you're not going to talk to me, if you're not going to have a discussion with me, then I'm going to have to put you down. This is where Maximus calls in the Cosmic Ghost Rider. Telling the Cosmic Ghost Rider to kill them. The two charge in, but they quickly get put down. And even Ghost Rider's like, man, that seems like such a waste. And Maximus, he tried to reason with him. He tried to tell them, but they didn't want to hear it. With them two being gunned down on their own ship, Maximus and the Cosmic Ghost Rider, they head off to their end game. That is where this issue will end. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments. This story continuing on in Imperial issue number 4. We get to see the bigger play here. We get to see how Maximus really played everybody like a fiddle. Strung this along, made everybody believe that they had the prophet returned. And with this, the Skrulls, they were getting rambunctious. They were preparing to fight. And when our Super Skrull learned of all of this, kills the imposter, but goes on to say, you know what? That person may have been a fake, but they weren't wrong. We need to levitate our position in this hierarchy. We need to put ourselves higher up on the pedestal, higher up on the podium tool. We need a bigger voice if this union is ever gonna happen. Not just the Kree-Skrull alliance. The Skrulls wanted to be recognized as their own entity. And with our Super Skrull falling into this, that does beg the question, now that it's been learned that the Skrulls were played, the universe, they're never gonna look at the Skrulls the same. They have been given opportunity after opportunity after opportunity, and now we're seeing that they are screwing everybody over once again, even if they were tricked. They learned of the trick and they still continued on. And now we're left remaining wondering, what is the fate of Gamora and Darkhawk? What is gonna become of them? Are they actually dead? Or did he just put them down temporarily? And Darkhawk's armor, what was it trying to tell him? Why was it giving him these visions, leading him to this place? Was it all because of Maximus? Was it Inhuman design all along? Or is there something bigger going on here at play? Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your theories. If you want to get caught up on everything that has been going on with this series, go ahead, check out the link in my description, as well as the top of this video. It's going to get you caught up on everything going on with the Imperial War. If you would like to support the channel, you can always do so by joining the channel membership. This is a lot like Patreon, having multiple different tiers, from $1 to $50 from loyalty badges to comics every single month. Not only are you helping out the channel tremendously, but it really does help us out in a lot of ways. Now, if you're unable to do this, please do me a favor of subscribing to the channel, liking the video, hitting the notification bell, and with that being said, until the next breakdown.